Imagine this. You've made it. You walk into the showroom, checkbook ready to buy an absolute icon. But the question you're met with isn't what color. The answer you get is simply no. Now, this isn't some hypothetical scenario. This is the cold, calculated reality of Ferrari, a company that has literally weaponized rejection to build one of the most powerful and profitable business strategies on Earth. So let's break down this paradox, shall we?
Just look at this number. 81%. Think about what that really means. This isn't about just buying a car. It's a coronation. You're not a customer. You're being invited into one of the most elite clubs on the planet. See, having the money, that's just the first hurdle. And honestly, it's the least interesting part. The real question Ferrari asks isn't, can you afford this? It's, are you worthy?
All right, so how on earth can turning away rich, eager buyers actually be a good business model? I mean, it flies in the face of everything we know about business, right? But this is the very first pillar of the Ferrari Paradox. Rejection isn't a bug in their system. It is the system.
You see, Ferrari plays the long game. They prioritize absolute loyalty. They reward their most active, most dedicated clients, the ones they call the Ferraristi, by giving them first dibs on the newest and most exclusive models. It creates this perfect self-reinforcing loop. The more you're in, the more you get. And that just makes the brand's wall of exclusivity that much higher.
Now, don't think for a second this is some new marketing gimmick. No, this strategy goes way back. It's a philosophy that was basically etched into the company's DNA by the founder himself, Enzo Ferrari. And it's a simple, almost ruthless principle that still drives every single decision they make.
Here it is. Always build one car less than the market demands. Just let that sink in for a moment. One car less. This was never about meeting demand. It's about constantly, perpetually cultivating it. When desire always outstrips supply, your cars stop being just products. They become these mythical objects of aspiration. The thirst is never quenched, so it can never, ever fade.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. Just look at this graph. That steady, solid red line, that's Ferrari. Now compare that to the chaotic, jagged lines of the rest of the luxury car industry. While everyone else is getting thrown around by economic ups and downs, Ferrari is just sailing on a course they charted for themselves. It's calm, it's controlled, and it is completely deliberate.
But look, don't mistake control for stagnation. Not at all. They went from about 7,000 cars in 2014 to almost 14,000 a decade later. So yes, that's growth, but it's surgical. It's incredibly precise. Every single extra car they decide to build is a strategic move designed to carefully expand the family without ever watering down that core principle of scarcity.
Okay, so this leads us to the big question, the really crucial part. If you're intentionally limiting how much you sell, how in the world do you make more money? And the answer to that brings us to the most mind-blowing part of the Ferrari paradox, their financial performance. It's just unbelievable.
Think about it. Business 101 tells you that more volume equals more profit, right? So what happens when a company just decides to tear up that rulebook and throw it out the window?
This is the answer. 28.4%. That is Ferrari's operating profit margin. Now, for those of you who don't follow this stuff, in the car industry, a number like that isn't just good, it's practically a statistical impossibility.
And here's the context you need to really appreciate that. The average for the entire auto industry, it's somewhere between, say, 8 and 10%. Ferrari is running at almost triple that. They're not just in a different league. They are playing a completely different sport on a different planet.
And all of this leads to a really critical insight. You have to understand, Ferrari isn't really a car company. They're not in the business of getting you from point A to point B. They are in the business of selling status, heritage, a tangible piece of a myth. Their financials look less like a car maker and more like an elite jewelry house or even a top-tier software company.
So if what they're selling isn't just a car, then what is it? Well, this is the final brilliant piece of the puzzle. They've managed to completely redefine the product. It's not a machine that loses value the second you drive it off the lot. It's an asset that, more often than not, goes up in value.
And this pyramid, this is basically their entire customer journey mapped out. You start at the bottom as a Ferraristi, a first-time owner. And if you prove your loyalty, you earn the right to climb. You get access to the Special Series models, then the Super Limited Icona Series, and for the chosen few at the very top, the Supercar. And with each step you take, you're entering a world where these cars are actually appreciating assets.
And they don't just hope the value goes up, they actively protect it. They have an entire division for this, called Ferrari Classique.
Now, this isn't just some fancy service department. Think of it more like an archive, a certification authority, a restoration guild. Its only job is to guarantee the authenticity and preserve the history, which means preserving the financial value, of every classic Ferrari out there, and make sure these things remain timeless, valuable assets.
But here's the big looming question. What happens to this whole perfect formula when the iconic roar of a V12 engine gets replaced by the silence of an electric motor? I mean, this is the biggest challenge to Ferrari's very identity. How do you possibly carry over a century of combustion engine heritage into a new, electric world?
Well, from the top down, Ferrari's leadership doesn't see electrification as a threat they have to deal with. They see it as the next great frontier for creating exclusivity. Their goal isn't just to make an EV. It's to build a Ferrari that happens to be electric. Something engineered to create just as much innovation and just as much desire as every car that came before it. And their actual strategy backs this up. They're not just ditching their heritage. Look at their plan for 2030. They're aiming for a balanced mix. 40% traditional combustion engines, 40% hybrid, and only 20% fully electric. They call this technology neutrality. Basically, they're committed to giving their elite clients the ultimate choice, not forcing them down one specific path.
And they're putting their money where their mouth is. They've built this new e-building in Maranello, and it's the physical proof of this strategy. It's a factory designed from the ground up to be totally flexible. It can build an internal combustion engine, a hybrid system, or a full EV powertrain. It's their way of showing the world that the core philosophy of exclusivity and performance, that's not going anywhere, no matter what's turning the wheels.
So, when you take a step back and look at this whole incredibly complex model, it really all comes down to one single powerful idea, a principle that defines the entire brand and explains all of its unbelievable success. That old Enzo formula, building one less car than people want, it's not just a cute marketing slogan. It is the direct cause of the highest profit margins in the entire car industry. It's simple, really. Mastering scarcity is how you master profit. So when you strip away all the beautiful design, the cutting-edge tech, the decades of racing glory, what's the one single secret that explains this whole paradox?
It's the power of saying no, the courage to look a billionaire in the eye and turn them away. Because in the world of true ultimate luxury, the most valuable thing you can ever sell is the one thing money alone can't buy.